Welcome to the Gloria Show, where personal growth takes center stage. Founder and CEO of Personal Dynamics, Gloria Sloan, shares practical strategies to enrich your life, elevate your mindset, and empower your journey. As she reminds us, ultra-successful people never stop learning, reaching, and growing. Get ready for fresh insights and uplifting inspiration. Here's your host, Gloria Sloan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gloria Show. I am so glad that you have joined me today because we have an amazing guest. We have a great topic. We're going to be talking about mental fitness in the workplace. And workplace can be wherever you are doing something in a leadership role in terms of business, or whether it's corporate, or whether it's your own entrepreneurship. You are faced with so many challenges. We all are. And mental fitness is very important. It's even more important, and it grows even more important. So I'm hoping today that we're going to give you some information about mental fitness in the workplace that's going to help you to be more empowered in what you're doing and how you're doing it, because mental fitness is a critical skill in today's leaders, empowering them to manage stress effectively, adapt to change with confidence, and to create resilience, and to make high performance in their teams. So by strengthening the mental agility and emotional awareness, leaders can remain clear-headed under pressure. But there's so much at them in order to do this. There's so many challenges to make the best decisions with a clear mind when you're under pressure, and challenging transitions. And lately, we've all maybe experienced some transitions one way or another. This proactive approach not only improves leadership performance, but also helps prevent burnout when you're looking at a way to balance, to make mental fitness work within the workplace. So today we're going to talk with a very special guest, Lisa Hammett, who's been on the show before. And Lisa is just a wealth of information. She's a dynamic, transformational, and TEDx speaker, an international bestseller, a certified positive intelligence PQ coach, a wellness expert, and her talents to how she has helped people develop and go through things is just enormous, to what she has done in the wellness coaching community. So please help me welcome my guest with over 26 years of experience as a leader in the industry. So she knows firsthand the toils and the stress and the burnout that can take individuals to, just an unforeseen level of being able to feel confident. She's there to do it. So please help me to welcome my very special guest again back on the Gloria Show, Lisa Hammett.
Thank you so much, Gloria. I am delighted to be here. I loved our last interview, and I'm just so excited to have another amazing conversation with you.
It's just always good. We've talked in between and back and forth. And again, I wasn't able to say all that I wanted to because I want you to jump right in and talk to the audience. But I wanted to give them enough about your background, because for over 25, 26 years, I know you started with wellness coaching and you did some other things. And your story is amazing, how you even got involved in it. So feel free to just talk to us and tell us where you are to this point and how important mental fitness was to you, and why you knew that this was something you needed to just grab at and go. So please talk to us.
All right. Well, I spent, as Gloria had mentioned, 26 years in corporate as a leader, and I reached burnout. And I want to share a little bit about my burnout story because I guarantee there are people like me out there, and I want to prevent you from getting to that point. So I equate it to slamming into a cement wall. I was done. I had no more mental bandwidth to continue on my current course. I was 65 pounds overweight. I was suffering from chronic migraines, digestive issues. My marriage was strained. And I remember waking up one morning and the world just looked gray, devoid of color. And I was like, this is my life. This is horrible. So, in a moment of desperation, I just left it all. I quit without an exit strategy, which I don't recommend. But I was so desperate to get out of that situation. And unfortunately, because I didn't have an exit strategy, it resulted in bankruptcy down the road. And I share all that because all of it could have been prevented. And, when I left the corporate sector, I went on my wellness journey. I lost the 65 pounds. I did become a wellness coach. And during the pandemic, I added on my life coaching credentials because I had so many people coming to me that were stressed and burnt out. And I'm like, I need to be able to support them in even further than just well-being, like physical well-being. And then I was introduced to positive intelligence, which is what I am certified in. And I just took a complimentary coaching. It was through a coaching grant with positive intelligence. And I personally had such incredible results in my stress level because let's face it, entrepreneurs out there, you can be
Yeah.
very stressed,
Yeah.
right? Especially when
Yes.
you're
True. That's true. Yeah.
so I found it so beneficial. And then I started testing it. Even before I became certified, I started testing the techniques on my clients, not necessarily using the vocabulary, but I just wanted to see if it resonated. And they were blown away. And I was blown away at how wonderful it was to see them release all those negative emotions so they could achieve their goals and lead a happy, healthy, fulfilled life. So that's kind of from where I was to where I am today.
Wow, just really jumping involved in it because, to be able to, as an employer or whether you're an entrepreneur, it works both ways. The mental fitness and how to put your arms around it, manage it in all of the challenges. And I think that that's where we are today. There are so many avenues, so much is going on, and people who are small business owners, or whether your business is even, a lot on a larger scale, mental fitness is right there. But even for just the entrepreneurs who are trying to make it from day to day, week to week, with cutbacks, with whatever is going on in the world, someone out there is struggling, and they're struggling trying to put all the pieces together. And Lisa, I know that because you were in the middle of what you were doing when you just left your job, it was a burnout situation, and we talked about that on the show before. But
Yes.
as you left and then pursued and started doing your own to help others, tell me about the impact that had and how you were able to make that transition on your own to help others.
So when I started practicing, mental fitness, I would start using the techniques when I would start to feel that anxiety or overwhelm, come into play. I would utilize some of the techniques, and a lot of them, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later on, but a lot of it is really just being fully present and recognize, things in the present because what causes a lot of stress for us is focusing on things really what's outside of our control. We worry about, are we going to get let go from our job if we're in corporate? If we're an entrepreneur, we worry about, can I pay my bills? Am I going to get any clients? How am I going to grow in this completely insane, political environment right now? And, so there's all these different things that just get thrown at us. And being able to shift that mindset so that we recognize when we're kind of going down that rabbit hole and focusing on things that we have no control over, really. And getting really present, utilizing mental fitness techniques to quiet the central nervous system so that we are able to then respond with clear-headed focus, peace and calm. We can see the big picture. We don't necessarily get stuck in the weeds, which is really, we often do.
Mhm.
And we can respond with empathy. If we have a team of people, whether we're a business owner or if we're a leader, in a corporate position, when you're working with other people, you have to be able to respond with empathy and compassion because they're struggling. The team is struggling too. And all this negative energy can just snowball off of each other. It's almost kind of like a negative boxing match. If one person is really suffering, their energy can then move out to others and can impact the entire team. Or if the leader, for example, is reflecting a lot of tension and negative energy, that can be felt to the clients, to the team, just to others around them that they might need support from.
Well, so let me ask you, this calmness that I truly do believe in, isn't it something that you have to practice? Now, just tell
Yes.
me about, from what I know of the calmness that we must be able to have within ourselves, and before we can um, push that energy or make sure that energy goes to someone else, we first have to demonstrate that calmness. And
Yes.
as a leader, when you're calm, and as we used to say, calm and collected, the respect from others will see that. But
Right.
being calm in the middle of whether it's a crisis, a challenge, or whatever the situation is, that is key to being able to deliver what it is that you want to the other people on the team.
Mm-hmm.
What is there a key to that calmness? Is it just sitting still? Is it, how does one interject or make sure they are developing that calmness that is so needed?
So this is where the actual techniques come into play, and I know we talked a little bit about this the last time that
Yeah,
I was on your show, but I definitely feel that it's worth a repeat. So
please.
it's a matter of engaging your senses. And for those of you listening, you might be thinking, well, that's kind of weird, but trust me, go with me and do this with me if you would. And I want you to first just look at something in front of you. I don't care what it is. I want you to just stare at it as if you've never seen it before. And I want you to notice tiny details, colors, shapes. Could be a reflection in the surface, but I want you to just stare at it seriously, like you've never seen it before. And this is one way that you can just release some of those negative emotions. It's just by focusing on something you can see. I like often focusing on things that I can hear, and I make a game out of it. If I start to feel like anxious or overwhelmed, I'll just pause for a moment and see how many different sounds can I hear. And I even do this when I'm walking in the morning because
Mhm.
it really just kind of keeps you in that positive mindset and make it a game. It's like how many things can you hear? And when you stop to pay attention, you're going to find a lot of different things. Whether it's noise coming from outside or in the room, or it could even be the sound of your breath. It could be the HVAC system. There's just a lot of different things. And then it could be touch, and I like rubbing two fingertips together and noticing the fingertip ridges of your fingers. Are they dry? Are they smooth? What's the temperature? That's a good one that you can do if you're in a situation with other people, because you can do that real subtly. You don't have to go around like this, but
Okay.
it's little things like that. And you think it doesn't really add up, but it does, because what it's doing is it's taking the focus off of those negative emotions that are driving the stress and the anxiety and the overwhelm. And it just kind of is wiping your brain clean of that, so that then you can focus to a more positive perspective. So, and we have what we call sage powers. I'm going to share one of them right now. So, assuming that you did these mental fitness techniques and you were a little calmer, then if you walk into a situation at work, whether it's your business or, in corporate, and it is just very negative, people are running around, just there's a lot of tension. One of the sage powers is what we call the explore power, and we call it the fascinated anthropologist. And basically, what it is you're asking three questions. You're first asking, what is coming up for me in this situation? How am I feeling? Are the anxiety and the tension is emanating from others, is that rubbing off on me and influencing how I'm reacting? Because how you had mentioned before, Gloria, how it's so important that if you're a leader, to stay calm so that you can then calm those within your sphere of influence as well. Because when somebody's really anxious, that rubs off on other people. So
Mm-hmm.
it's asking yourself, okay, what's coming up for me, recognizing it so you can change the behavior if you need to. Two, what's coming up for others, and is their behavior influencing me? And then three, what about the situation can you impact, if at all? And in some cases you might be able to do something to help de-escalate the situation, but let's say oftentimes you can't. Let's say you're short staffed or what have you, and you have a choice. We all have a choice on how we respond to something.
Mm-hmm.
There are things outside of our control that we absolutely have no influence over, but we can always influence how we respond to a situation. So if it is a really stressful situation, we can make the choice to say, you know what, I'm going to make the best of this, and I'm not going to let this get to me. And I know my skills, I know what I can impact, and I know that by staying calm, I can help others in that regard, and that's what I'm going to do. It's make that personal choice. So that is an example of one of the sage powers. We have other sage powers that are pretty cool to deal with. So
Well, do you have any that an entrepreneur or someone working solo could maybe do? Do you have some examples you can share? Because a lot of times you may not be in a boardroom, you may not be at the table with other people, but if you're an entrepreneur and you've got stuff all over your desk, you've got projects, you've got deadlines, you've got budgets, you've got stuff, and you're just and you're
I
just
get
one
it.
hey, you're one person. Yeah, I mean, help me with how can a solo entrepreneur
Mhm.
who's sitting at a cluttered desk or just with all these things and deadlines and stuff that they need to do, people they need to get back to, what can they do to grab a hold of the mental fitness for themselves to be able to get through that time?
So great question. Utilizing those exercises I shared about your different
Right.
senses, but then one of my favorite sage powers, and we call the right brain in positive intelligence the
You're
sage. It's our
right.
positive brain. And one of them is the navigate power. And I think this is very helpful for anybody when they find themselves just ruminating on something. And oftentimes this manifests in the evening when we're trying to sleep.
Mhm,
Our brain just starts going a million miles
mhm,
an hour. And it's looking at it through the lens of our older, wiser self. And,
mhm.
I want to go back to what I said earlier, that oftentimes when we worry about something, it's about something that has not happened. And the majority of what we worry about never comes to fruition, anyways. So asking how your older, wiser self would handle this situation makes you look at it from a different lens. And your older, wiser self can see everything that has happened in your life, can see everything that's before you right now. They're wise, they know. And I always say, what would your older, wiser self tell you or say to you based on what you're ruminating on right now. And the majority of the time, it's let it go. It's just not worth it. You can't impact it. Just let it go. Let it go. And, in the scheme of things, I have a strong faith. So I believe that when we get to the gates of heaven, whatever you believe, it doesn't matter. But that's my belief, is that, we will be able to see our life. And is it really going to matter what we're ruminating about? And no, the majority of the time it isn't. So that's one of the things. Now, another power that is very impactful for entrepreneurs, small business owners, is the activate power. And oftentimes we tend to avoid or procrastinate on things that make us uncomfortable because we feel overwhelmed. Maybe there's a big project that we need to work on and we keep putting it off because we're like, I just don't know where to start. There's so many pieces to it. I don't know. So the activate power would say, okay, first of all, what negative feelings am I having? Where are they coming from? Making an awareness of them, recognizing, is my mind just telling me, oh, you can't do this? What are you thinking? Are we having this negative self-talk, which is not true? So it's really kind of leaning into that. And then two, it's asking yourself, what is needed now? What is needed right now to take action? And it needs to be silly small, like ridiculously small. So, for example, if you have a big project that you need to work on, it could be, okay, I'm going to start by creating an outline. I don't even need to complete my outline, but I'm just going to start with that. And then maybe the next step would be to make a list of people that I could reach out to who could help me with this project. And then the next thing would be, okay, I'm going to pick the first person on the list and I'm going to reach out to them. And again, you're making it like almost stupid small so that you can build that self-efficacy because you know that you're going to achieve it. And once you start getting that momentum, then it's kind of like that steamroller effect. It just keeps going and going and going. And before you know it, what you had been procrastinating on is you're in full momentum. So that is a great actually power for everybody, but it's really helpful for those who are just, they feel like they're isolated by themselves and they're like, I need some help. I don't know what to do. So it's, what are my thoughts telling me that are untrue? And then two, what do I need right this minute to get in activity? And then what is that first small step?
That is excellent. And I truly can relate to that and do believe that, because when you are sitting alone and you are looking at a calendar and you're looking at everything that must be done, people you need to call, people you need to get back to, and how am I going to address this? Again, taking the least, the small, just
Yes.
1 to 2 things, and then you look at that. And I don't know how this works within the activity level of what you're talking about, but sometimes just to step away when you can. And for me, to go out and get some air or, just take a breath, move into an environment where, like you said earlier, you can go out and you can hear some noises. I like this thing when you can make your own noise about stuff, when you can make your own noise. But for me, it's stepping out and I can go out and breathe and I'm thinking about all this stuff that I have to do. That's what works for me. I think that entrepreneurs in particular have to work within the prioritizing what is important. And again, you start with the small things, but you have to take those things that are critical and you have to make those lists. Being a business owner and running things, it's not easy.
No, it's not.
And it does require concentration, focus, and all the things that help us to be mentally capable of being able to do it and to deliver it. And I know in a coaching aspect or whatever we're doing, people are looking for us for direction, for support.
Yes.
the empathy. And in any given situation, if you're coaching or whatever you're doing, you have to be able to make sure you're right, that you got it together.
Yes.
We have to make
100%.
sure, yeah, that we have it together. And so we do have to find those things that work for us. So I do like those three things that you talked about, the activities
Hmm.
and the focus and the sitting still and looking at I was looking at an object while you were talking about that and seeing, yeah, I did. I tried it. And
Good.
you
Good.
were even talking about it because you brought this to our attention the first time when you were on the show
Yes.
about these are things that we don't really think about, but if you just find an object and you
Hmm.
look at it and you see that object in a whole different way, if you look at it for a few seconds
Yes.
longer, it could be a flower, it could be something on a piece of paper, it could be an ornament, it could be anything. And I have done that before. So I remember you sharing that when
Hmm.
you were on the show the last time, that we have to find something that we can look at and take that focus in a calmer. I like demonstrating the calm. What's going to
Yes.
calm me down so I can address what's going on, so that when I do make that phone call, that I'm not making a stressful phone call. And when
So
I
important.
do answer that email, we have to be careful about how we respond to emails, because see, if
Yes.
you're all stressed out and that you have to really, really be careful sending those emails, making those phone calls and doing things that is going to transform to something else when the person on the other end hears you
Hmm.
and reads it. How many times have you gotten an email and you think, what were they thinking about?
You're right.
No, really. I
So
mean,
true. So true.
and I've learned that when you respond to things without taking a minute to think about it, don't you
Hmm.
think that all of that has to do with the mental capacity of how
Yes.
we communicate? I mean,
100%.
do you?
100%. Yes. And this just brings up another great point. It's if you are trying to do something and it seems really hard to do, then you are stuck in a negative loop in your brain. And in positive intelligence, we call them saboteur traits. I'm not going to go into that right now, but it's a negative loop that's going on in your brain if something is really hard, because your brain is telling you this is hard. And when you talked about how important it is to make sure that you're showing up as your best self, because people, regardless of if you're having a face-to-face conversation or if you're communicating through a text message or a email message, that emotion, that negative energy will come across.
Yeah.
So it is so important to recognize when you're in the wrong headspace and to do these little things to reset. And sometimes it could be as simple as saying to yourself, stop, stop, stop. And you don't have to say it out loud if you don't want to, but you can just imagine in your brain like a big red stop sign and just say stop, stop, stop. And what that is, that's a self command or a thought disruptor. And it's quieting that negative mind trash, if you want to say it that way.
Yes, yeah, it is what it
Yeah,
is.
that is really impacting your behavior. And then once you have gotten your brain's attention and said, okay, I'm not going down that path, then you can focus on, okay, what can I impact here? How can I make this easier? What is needed now? Because when we're operating from our positive right side of our brain, I'm not saying challenges won't be there. We're always going to have challenges. And believe me, boy, do we have challenges in the world
Mhm.
right now. But the thing is, we don't need to have them paralyze us. It's not necessary, because we could recognize that, okay, this might not be an ideal situation, but I am not going to allow it to paralyze me. So I'm going to remain calm so that I can respond accordingly.
So true, so true.
Yeah.
And if you're like me, from a coaching standpoint, I've been reading up and doing my study on all these things, the brain triggers and all.
Mhm.
There's a whole lot out there now that is impacting us that we have to be even more aware of the things that we're giving our brain a whole lot of credit for stuff. But at the same time, until you really, really know how that brain is operating, and there's a lot of things from a coaching standpoint now
Mhm.
that we have to be mindful of because there are the brain triggers and the things that you've talked about. Well, what we're going to do, Lisa, is let's take a break. And when we come back, if you would bring out some of those other factors and things that you're talking about that you say we'll talk about in a minute,
Okay.
that you can highlight them. Let's take a minute and take a break so the audience can get the full impact of some of that stuff that I know you are ready to explore and to leave them with. So we're going to take a break and be back in a minute.
Okay.
Have you tuned in to the hottest personal development podcast streamed live every other Tuesday by the incredible Gloria Sloan? If you're ready to grow, elevate, and upgrade your life, then The Gloria Show is your ticket to success. Gloria believes ultra-successful people never stop reaching for new heights, learning new skills, and finding true fulfillment. If you are looking for a fresh, informed perspective on life, The Gloria Show is here to lift your spirits and tackle the challenges standing in the way of your success. Join Gloria bi-weekly as she brings her energy, insight, and over 3 decades of experience in business management and personal growth to help you unleash your power and transform your life. From personal development and career transitions to self-improvement and leadership, Gloria covers it all with practical advice and powerful resources. Laugh, cry, and be inspired as you learn how to elevate yourself to new heights. Whether you're looking to become healthier, happier, or more skillful, Gloria's got you covered, so why wait? Tune in to The Gloria Show every other Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and start your journey to becoming the best version of you. Don't miss out on the ultimate guide to personal and professional growth. Listen bi-weekly and let Gloria Sloan help you upgrade your life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We have our amazing guest today, Lisa Hammett, who is talking with us about mental fitness in the workplace. And we want to make sure you understand the workplace could be even your own entrepreneurship, your own private workplace, wherever your workspace is. That's what we're addressing because it's that space wherever you're working that you have to concentrate, you have to focus, you have to stay calm because you're a leader, you're a decision maker, and it has a great impact on your business as well as on yourself. And so we're talking about all those factors today because mental fitness is crucial. It's important, and it's a skill that we don't often look at it as a skill. But Lisa, I think you can agree that mental fitness
100%.
is a skill, and I am all for skills that are practiced on a regular basis. To me,
Mhm.
that is how you upgrade and get to a better place. Is you must learn how to practice
Mhm.
skills. And just as you gave us some ideas and suggestions from the coaching that you do, the elements and things that we can do to be able to practice the critical skills that are necessary to help us be in a better place and in a better frame of mind so that we can lead, that we can direct and stay positive. So now, Lisa, if you will take us to another level in terms of how you can identify with those areas that we know that we need help in to help us to be able to not fall into the slump of doing that to ourselves? What can you do to help us to save some space to be able to function without the mental stress and strain?
Great question. Sorry, frog in my throat all of a sudden. I want to go back to what you had talked about how, having that positive mindset, and
Mhm.
how do we maintain it? So habits. When we make habits, then it's sustainable. Now, how many times, and I know you can attest to this because you're always learning as well, but for the audience, how many times have you done a training or been to a conference and it's just been amazing, but you leave, you go home, you get back into your life, and all those great things that you heard about, you either never look at your notes again, or it just goes away because you're not practicing them.
Exactly.
And the thing that I love about mental fitness so much is it's truly an operating system, and it helps you develop habits so that you can maintain a positive mental charge. So then you can use those sage powers that I started to talk about, um, earlier. But kind of going back to those techniques that I had mentioned earlier about what you can hear, what you can see, what you can touch. Could either be something you taste, like savoring, a cup of tea or coffee, whatever that is. The thing is, to remain mentally fit and in that positive mindset, you need to incorporate these practices into what you do on a daily basis. So, and the best thing to do is when you start your day with a positive mental charge, you're more likely to be able to handle challenges with ease. They're not going to get to you as much. And your day overall will just be more positive. So I ask people often, so when you first wake up in the morning, what are some things that you normally do? Well, get up, go to the bathroom. That might be one thing. Okay, so as you're walking across the floor, I want you to notice how your feet feel as you're walking across the floor. Notice the temperature of the floor. Is it a carpet? Is it soft? Is it kind of squishy? Or is it hard, like tile or hardwood, and, texture, that whole thing. And then when you're washing your hands, notice the water and the soap and how that feels as you're washing your hands or drying your hands. And then oftentimes people say, oh, I need coffee or I need tea. So, okay, so listen to all the different sounds that you hear as you're making that cup of coffee or that tea or brand new water, what have you, and the different sounds. And then when you're raising it, to your mouth, really notice the beautiful aroma that you smell, and take a sip of it, and then just notice the warmth, and just how how you feel as you swallow. So it's just kind of a whole meditative experience. But throughout the day, I've had people that I've worked with who said, okay, every time I open a door handle, I'm going to just notice really how that feels. Or if you're working on your computer, then notice the sound of your fingers typing. What does that feel like?
Mm.
Or what does that feel on your fingers? Anything can be turned into this micro meditation. And this helps you to maintain that positive charge. And one thing that I want to mention, when you are in a positive mindset, you are more likely to focus on the positive, meaning the gift and opportunity in a situation. So when we focus on the negative, we tend to attract more negativity because that's all that we're looking at. But if we're focusing on the positive, although challenges will arise, we'll be able to see the gift in that situation. So if something blows up at work, you know what? Okay, what can I learn from this? What could I do differently next time? Or what is the silver lining in this? How could this possibly turn into an advantage? So it's being able to be in that positive mindset so that you can find that gift in the situation.
Wow. That is awesome because, like you say, it starts or it can start in the morning.
Yes.
Whenever, and I've said this before on the show that your morning routine and when you first get up, it sets the pace for everything else for the rest of the day. I mean, how you wake up and what you do the first 30 minutes to an hour in the morning sets the pace for your day. And as you say, when you touch the floor, if it's floor, carpet, or whatever, and I say, and you go to the bathroom and you look in the mirror, for whatever you do, those first few moments up to 30 minutes to an hour of your morning hour
Mhm.
dictates basically how in my opinion, how your mental capability can form. It
Yes.
forms first thing in the morning, not
Mhm.
after lunch, not afternoon. If you're gonna wait that long before anything mentally clicks with you, then that's a whole different story. But for the most of us, if in the morning, and how many times have you heard people blame it on coffee, blame it on whatever it is? I haven't had my cup of coffee, but I mean, that's a mental thing. That's a
It
mental
is. Totally.
that's a mental challenge. When you get up first thing in the morning, you're blessed to be able to open your eyes, to get out of the bed, and you look at yourself,
Mhm.
splash water on your face. You're alive, you're real. Feel it.
Yes. Yes.
Feel it and do something to say, hey, this is a day, and until we can wake up with that positive attitude,
Mhm.
that regardless of what else is going on, you have to face it first thing when you wake up, in my opinion.
Yes. No, I 100% agree with you. And that's why practicing gratitude, especially
Yeah,
first thing in the morning, is
yes,
so powerful. Before you get out of bed, think about 3 things you're grateful for. And if things are stressful, just say, "Hey, I have a warm bed to sleep in. I have a roof over my head. I have clean drinking water." It could be something like that. It doesn't have to be something monumental like, "Oh,
right.
I just got a luxury car," right? I'm going to buy my dream house. I'm not saying those aren't great things. That's great. But it's focusing on those things that sometimes we take for granted. And the thing is our brains cannot simultaneously think a bad thought or a negative thought and a positive thought. And when we are looking at a situation or thinking from a space of gratitude, we're activating the right side of our brain, and
Hmm.
that's our positive brain. So it cannot be at the same time simultaneously thinking about a negative thought. So that's just another way too. Okay, so walk across the floor, feel how that feels, and then say to yourself as you're doing that, "Wow,
Yeah,
I'm happy
yeah,
I woke up this
yeah,
morning,"
yeah.
or
I mean,
"Oh, yeah,
I hear you. That I mean, for me, I mean, you have to establish what works for you, and if that
yes,
works for you, and I'm expressing that because being a morning person and getting up early in the morning and doing those things, being grateful, that sets the pace. But when you can do that from a mental standpoint, the whole thing here is to stimulate that brain. You
yes."
see, you got to wake that brain up in the morning, and don't say you got to have a cup of coffee to do that, because
Right.
you know don't blame it on the coffee. Be able to be in control of that the moment that you get up, and you're grateful that first of all that you can get up and you look in the mirror and you say, look at me. And I have this thing, I say, wow, look at me, no matter what you're looking like in the morning.
I love that.
How can I improve this today? And you
Yeah,
build on that.
love it.
Stimulate. People don't realize that those reactions stimulate the brain first thing in the morning. And if
Mhm.
you can self-stimulate that brain, you're going to stand a better chance of avoiding the mental catastrophe during the day. If you say to your brain, you got to talk to your brain. You got to let your brain know what you're going to stand for and what you're not.
Mhm.
I mean, I really do believe that. And
Yeah.
from a coaching standpoint, you have to be able to direct those things that you want to yourself through that. And like you say, it requires habit and
Yes.
practice. Once you start doing things in a routine, and like I say, I have a routine, certain things that just like clockwork, that you
Mhm.
wake up, you're grateful to be up, and there are certain things you're going to do. When you establish that morning routine and you do it faithfully, it becomes a habit, it becomes a practice, and your whole morning, day, noon, your whole day goes the way you had wanted to go most of the time. And when it doesn't, we have to be able to manage and handle it. But you're in a better position to do that if you kicked it off with a good start. Am I right?
100%. 100%. It's that positive mental charge that I was talking
First
about.
thing, yeah,
Yes.
the
Start your
first,
day with a positive mental charge. Don't automatically reach for your phone and go on social media
exactly, yeah.
or, check your messages, because then that could just set you off on a total negative path. Don't do it. It's fine. I'm sorry. You're not that needed at that particular moment in time. Get your brain in the right
Yeah, and
headspace,
it's that
you
frames
know,
that. Yeah, yeah. You start off
exactly.
with telling your brain,
Yeah,
"Look, this we're not gonna have this today. We're gonna do."
right.
And you really have to talk to yourself and talk to your brain. I believe that you
Yes.
really have to be in control of being able to talk to your
Uh-huh.
brain and say these things. Well, Lisa, what I'd like for you to do now is you have a couple of amazing books that talk about burnout, and you had one just recently, I think,
Mhm.
to come out. I want you to share with the audience your books and information that's on your website and how they can find help with some of the things we're talking about. Because again, burnout can really be a big part of mental breakdowns and mental things. And, I mean, when you're burnt out, you just can't
Yeah.
function.
I know you can't. You can't. And I'm reaching for my two books here. So I wrote the From Burnout to Best Life series. And my first book actually came out in 2022. See if you can see it. Sorry, I have
Yeah,
my background on.
burnout.
Okay, now you can see it sort of. Okay. And it's orange. And then the sequel is green. And
Right.
the second, so let me talk about the first one quickly. So the first book is really more of a holistic wellness approach
Mhm.
to creating your best life. It takes into account your mindset, how you move your body, how you talk to yourself, what you put in your body, sleep, hydration, all of those things. The second book really takes a deep dive into mental fitness, which is what I am certified in. Now, both books have reflection questions at the end of each chapter. So it helps you identify pain points in your life that may need to be addressed, and
Mhm.
it'll get you thinking. And I'm not saying that every single thing in both books you will identify with or you need to change. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it's to really get you to think about, oh, well, I never thought about it that way. And my new book, which I'm excited about, is it has more of a leadership component, because as a basically an executive coach, is a positive intelligence executive coach. I focus, my niche is primarily leaders in healthcare and HR, although I have other clients in different capacities, small business owners as well, entrepreneurs. But that's really my niche. So I put in a big leadership component on that. And how do you manage your burnout as a leader? How does that impact your team? And also, if you've lost your job, how do you not burn yourself out and have the right headspace when looking for a job? So these are just some of the different areas that I go to differently in my newest book, again using all of the mental fitness principles that we touched upon today. And you can find out about them on my website. It's lisahammett.com. You can see my name right there. And I encourage you, if you have any questions or anything about what we talked about, reach out to me. You can book a call. You're going to be having an opportunity to get a link to a saboteur assessment, which will actually help you identify those top thought patterns that are creating dysfunction and maybe preventing you from leading your best life. And it's pretty eye-opening. And that'll just give you more of a taste of what mental fitness is all about. So that's one of the gifts that you're going to be getting. But yeah, go to my website. You'll find out about my speaking. I'm a keynote speaker and a trainer as well. You'll find out about both my books and also how I coach, if that's something that you'd like to learn more about.
I love it, because that positive intelligence, that's something that being a positive intelligence coach, it's a little sidestep from life coaching, but I like it because it gives the experience in a different phase. And I think your website basically talked about how you take these techniques to do that, to help people. And I would say to someone who is listening, who's trying to build themselves to be a better fit mentally, to look at the positive intelligence part of your mental well-being overall, because it is a different area that you can address within yourself to make sure you have that balance of positive intelligence. And until, I think, Lisa, and you tell me if you agree, until a person or an individual looks at themselves and is able to address, okay, this is the area I know I need some help. When you can realize that these are areas, maybe we talked about some today that we touched base on. If this is an area in your life, if you are a business owner, a leader, whatever you're doing, and you feel that you need to have more of a positive structure, there is help. There is coaching. There is something you can read to help you. If you've been laid off from a job, if you've just started a business, or if you are already working in a business that somebody else owns, but yet you're responsible for leading it, or giving it some direction. There's so many different areas that people are involved in from a leadership standpoint. And whether it's your own or you're responsible for somebody else's.
Yes, we're all leaders. It doesn't matter what we're doing. We're all leaders.
It falls back on you, and you have to develop and establish yourself mentally to be able to handle it. But there's someone out there struggling maybe and not knowing where to start, the directions. But we're here right now giving you an opportunity. You can go to Lisa Hammett's website, and she's got a list of things that will certainly help you to find your way, so you can learn more about positive intelligence, as well as techniques and ways that she works with people who are trying to build a better self for them, for their mental fitness overall. And we want to let you know your mental well-being, it is a fitness, just like your physical fitness self. And Lisa, speak to that. People don't understand. Mental fitness is just like if you're going to the gym, working every day to be physically fit, we're offering you an opportunity to go and get mentally fit. And that's the difference.
It's a huge difference. And I'll tell you, your mindset is everything, because it doesn't matter how great a program is. It doesn't matter how great a diet is if you're trying to lose weight, or an exercise routine, or any sort of goal. If your head's not in the game and you don't believe that it's possible, then you're going to fail. That's just reality. In fact, I always share this when I'm speaking, is that, why do Olympians and other celebrities, how are they so successful? How do they win medals and awards? And because they have a mindset coach.
Exactly.
And that helps them to believe and to actually see themselves achieving what they want to accomplish. And they visualize it. They visualize that winning play, or accepting that award. They can see it.
You got to see it to believe it.
Yes, you have to see it. And you don't need to know all the steps on how to get there. That will come in time. But it all starts with the right mindset. Your head has got to be in the game. And if you don't believe it, it won't happen.
That is so true. Lisa, thank you. Thank you again so very, very much. All the best to the new series book that you have out. But I want to let you know that you're welcome here on the show anytime to give us a good boost for the mindset that we need. Great seeing you. Great having you. So please come back to see us again. Thank you so very much for being on the Gloria Show. We're going to take another quick break, and so stay tuned. We've got some updated information about the next show in 2 weeks. Stay with us.
Are you growing in the direction of your aspirations? Did you know your life's journey is shaped by the choices you make today? Now is the time to invest in yourself to grow, elevate, and upgrade your life. In Life Skills for the Journey, Gloria Sloan offers a transformational guide to unlocking your full potential. Blending practical tools, inspirational wisdom, and proven life skills, this book empowers you to take control of your future with confidence and clarity. From decision-making to self-discovery, from vision to action, this book is your blueprint for personal growth. And now, you can go deeper with the Life Skills for the Journey Companion Workbook, a powerful tool filled with practical exercises, reflective prompts, and engaging challenges designed to help you apply these principles to your own life. Your personal development is your life. It's your evolution. Take the next steps in becoming the best version of yourself. Your journey starts now. With Life Skills for the Journey and its companion workbook, it's time to invest in yourself and lead the life you were meant to live. Available now on Amazon.
Thank you again so much for being a guest on the show, Lisa. And again, thank you, audience, for listening, for viewing the Gloria Show. I really do appreciate that. And I hope that we have said something today that's going to help you to become a better version of yourself from the mental aspect of where you are now. But I also want to invite you to come back in 2 weeks. We're going to have Sue Linden on the show, who's going to talk more about leadership development. That's going to add to a lot of what we talked about today. And I want to give a shout out to a person who was on our show last year named Ian Alexander. Ian has a great challenge for being a better builder up of your life's journey. And she has an amazing challenge that actually started yesterday. It's a 5-day challenge. I invite you to go to her website, Act Bold, Ann Alexander, and find out about the challenge that she's offering to give people an uplift. So here again on the Gloria Show, what we want to do is share the opportunities and the resources that I know about when you are looking to upgrade yourself, invest in yourself. What I want to do is be able to share these opportunities with you so that you can go on a journey that you want to be on, to become a better person, a stronger person, and a more mentally fit person, if that's what you want. We want you to do that. So I invite you to go to gloriasloan.com, check out all of the things that we have on the website there, and follow me on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Follow me and like me. And we hope that we will continue to be able to bring you all of the goodness that we offer on the show, because the whole point is being able to bring you personal development issues and topics that will help you to grow, help you to invest, help you to build. That's what we do here on the Gloria Show. So until next time, in 2 weeks, remember, ultra successful people never stop reaching for new heights, gaining new insight, learning new things. No matter what age or where you are, you can continue to grow, to build, and to elevate to the heights, because your potential is unlimited. So until next time, thank you again so much for joining me, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Goodbye for now.
You've been listening to The Gloria Show. Be sure to check out www.gloriasloan.com for more tools, strategies, and inspiration. And don't forget to connect with Gloria on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Until next time, stay inspired, stay motivated, and keep moving toward your best self.